Hi guys, this is Karina Borgia-LaCroix, the title girl and owner of American Real Title, back at you again for our weekly informational video and another episode of the Title Girl. So, if you've missed any of our previous videos, we are posting those on our Facebook page, my personal Facebook page, LinkedIn, our YouTube channel, and our website at www.americanrealtitle.com. So go visit those. There's a lot of information there for you that's valuable for you and for your clients. So this week's topic is going to be popular questions regarding the scary 1099S. That's an IRS form that a lot of people seem to call me and they say that, you know, they have a lot of fear about it. I don't know why there's a lot of fear
Not
about
as
it.
scary as it sounds, though. Not as scary as it sounds.
And this brings me to my guest today. I am really blessed to have my friend and my colleague, Bob Knox. Bob is the president and owner of Credit Underwriters, Inc., and they are an accounting firm established by him since 1991.
Yeah.
That's 28 years in business. That's a long time.
Yeah.
That's if you've survived a crash. You've survived a few crashes.
A lot. Yeah, we've seen a lot over the years here in Fort Myers. So,
And they are located
a lot of
here
growth,
in
yeah.
Fort Myers.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
Well, I'm excited to be here. So it's
thank
good
you.
to be,
I'm really happy that
good to be
you're
here with the Title Girl. So I'm
you
happy to be
agreed
here.
to come along.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to get right to it, Bob. I'm going to be asking you some of the main questions that I get asked by my clients.
Okay.
So there'll only be a few, but I think they'll really help the people out there, anyone that's watching this.
Good.
What is a 1099S?
Okay, a 1099, according to the IRS, a 1099 is an informational return, and specifically a 1099S is a real estate transaction return. So, and the title agent the closing agent is required by law to send out a 1099 to the seller as well as to the IRS.
And that's why the seller in a real estate transaction gets a 1099 because we're required by law to provide one. As a side note, I don't mail my 1099s out. Like most people will get a 1099, all the other 1099s, they get mailed out and you get it in the mail. I don't do that. I give those to my seller clients at closing, and I am very specific with them that they've received it, they have it in their hand to put it aside for their tax documents and all those things, so they're prepared when they have to file the following year. But I don't mail them out. I always keep a copy here. If somebody needed a copy, I can provide that to them. But that's when they get it at a closing, and most title companies behave the same way. So
that's a good way to do it because it does get lost in the mail that way.
Right, and they at that point they can also put it together with their settlement documents.
Yeah.
And sometimes that helps because I don't know, do you guys use your settlement statement?
Absolutely.
Okay, and I guess
so
we'll
that
talk.
Helps if it's all together. That's really good.
So if you put it all together, then you can take it to your accountant and it'll help.
There.
Okay. Now, I get this question a lot. Does the seller have to actually report it on their tax return?
And the answer to that is yes. And the reason for that is the 1099 is issued to the seller, but the same 1099 is also sent to the IRS. So the IRS's computers match back on their records what they're showing on 1099s, and they want to make sure that that's reflected on your 1040 when you file your 1040. So very, very important to report that on your personal tax return.
Yeah, I tell my clients that. They always ask, and I say, absolutely, you have to. I am gonna send this to the IRS, so if they don't match it with yours, I've done my job.
You're going to get a letter from the IRS if it doesn't match. So
Okay.
We'll avoid that.
The really big question, this is the one that I get asked a lot, and clients call me all the time, and they say, Karina, how is this going to affect my taxes? What am I going to have to pay? Am I going to have to pay taxes on it, and how much? And my answer is, I have no idea. I'm not an accountant. I'm a title agent. And although I'm a real estate professional, I am not an expert in accounting. And I always say, this is when you need to call Bob. And Bob can guide you along the way and tell you how much. But today he's going to give us a little breakdown of the implications on your tax returns with a 1099-S.
Yes. And the IRS requires that any profit that you make on the sale of property be reported as a capital gain on your tax return. However, there are exceptions to that. And if you meet certain requirements, you can exclude a lot of that gain. If it is your primary home and you've lived in it for the 2 of the last 5 years prior to the sale, and you file a single return, you can exclude up to $250,000 of the gain. If you're married, filing jointly, you can exclude up to $500,000 of the gain. So you just have to make those requirements. And
I like having that answer because it's pretty clear, and sometimes I'm just not clear about it, and I say, well, I'm not really sure, but at least I can give that answer out, and most of those questions are answered by just that. Yeah. And now I know that we've talked before about to consider the property your primary residence. You have to have lived in it for 2 years?
2 of the past 5 years prior to the sale.
2 of the past 5.
Yeah.
So that's important because when we were initially talking about it, when he said that to me, I thought, wow, I'm pretty shocked here because I get a lot of questions where someone says, well, Karina, it was my primary residence 5 years ago for 3 years, and then 2 years ago I moved out of it and rented it out. Does it qualify as my primary residence? And I always say, I don't know, but
and the answer to that is yes, it would.
The answer is yes. So if they bought the property and it wasn't their primary, but then they moved into it, let's say 2 years later, and then they moved back out of it a year later, but it's still within those 5 years prior to the sale, it would qualify as a primary residence.
As long as it was their primary for those 2 years that they lived in it. And it's got to be 2 years of the 5 years prior to the sale.
That's really good information.
Yeah.
Because I get that a lot, and I'm always so afraid of giving the wrong information, and then they coming back at me and saying, Karina, I had to pay so much taxes, you were wrong. I just don't say anything.
No,
so now I can say a little more.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else that you think that they should know just in the short video, or? I
don't think so. I think the important thing is just to make sure. I think it's great that you give them the 1099 up front. Mm-hmm. It's important to have that with your closing papers, and just be sure you report it. If you receive a 1099-S, be sure to report it on your personal tax return.
Good.
That's the most important thing.
Now that you guys have an idea how scary and not so scary this 1099-S form can be, instead of having me tell you what the implications are or answer some of those questions, I would rather you call Bob. He can walk you through it. He can do your tax return for you. He knows all about how to deal with these forms and every other form under the IRS's sun. So I want you to tell our clients how they can reach you.
Okay, I'd be happy to talk to you. You can reach me through my website, which is www.cui4u.com, or you can email me at knox@cui4u.com.
Awesome.
Okay.
This has been so great.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I enjoyed it. So it's good.
We'll do other ones.
I would love to.
I'll make up other forms that I have to deal with. And then
I'd love to. And this is the lady you want to go to if you're doing a closing.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. There's my plug-in.
You got my endorsement. Yes.
As I always say, if you're in the real estate industry and you have a topic that you'd like me to cover, we'd be happy to do a video for you, maybe have you on with me live, like I have with Bob. Actually, he's here because I begged him to be on. But if you want me to do a video with you.
You didn't have to twist my arm too much.
I begged him, I said, please.
I was happy to do it.
So I hope that we helped answer some of your questions. Remember that tomorrow I'm going to be doing my live question and answer session. I won't be live, but I will be answering the questions in real time on my Facebook personal page and the business page at AmericanRealTitle.com. And I just want you to tell me next what you'd like me to discuss so that I can put it on my schedule of videos and keep you all informed. Again, I am Karina Borgia-LaCroix, the title girl and owner of American Real Title, where we perfect the art of closing the deal. See y'all next week.
Right. Goodbye.